Most of the people that I'm familiar with run companies between 10 million and maybe 150 million in revenue, and they have no leadership development. It's the big organizations. For me, I find it interesting that the number one reason why people leave companies is their manager. And at the same time, research has shown that those managers have had no leadership training or management training whatsoever. So, my advice would be develop your leaders.
Welcome to the Great Talent, Great Business Podcast, your go-to resource for building exceptional teams and thriving businesses. Each episode delivers actionable insights on harnessing offshore talent, integrating innovative technology, cultivating a vibrant company culture, and attracting and retaining top performers. Subscribe now to never miss an episode. For more resources, visit greattalentpodcast.com, where you can download this episode's free worksheet designed to help you apply today's insight to your business. And now, here's your host, Rob Levin.
Today, I'm joined by Mark Taylor, a highly respected CEO, coach, entrepreneur, and leadership expert who has spent decades helping business leaders level up. With a track record of scaling companies, guiding CEOs through critical business challenges, and earning some of the highest honors as a Vistage Master Chair, Mark has seen firsthand what separates great leaders from the rest. He's not just about strategy, he's about mindset as well. As a certified positive intelligence coach, Mark helps leaders rewire the way they think, overcoming self-sabotage, and lead with clarity and resilience. And I can go on and on about Mark, who I've known for quite some time. Mark, welcome to the show, and let's dive right in.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So, Mark, many small and mid-sized businesses struggle with leadership development, and the business owners struggle with leadership development within their companies. What's the best advice that you can give to these business owners to spot and to grow strong leaders?
Most of the people that I'm familiar with run companies between 10 million and maybe 150 million in revenue, and they have no leadership development. It's the big organizations. I worked in corporate America for a number of years where they train managers. For me, I find it interesting that the number one reason why people leave companies is their manager. And at the same time, research has shown that those managers have had no leadership training or management training whatsoever. So my advice would be develop your leaders. As a Vistage chair, we have leadership development programs not only for the CEOs and the key executives, but we have them for the middle managers as well as the emerging leaders. And these programs are programs where it could be one day a month or one day every other month, where they get introduced to how to manage people.
Yeah, it's like, somebody gets promoted typically because they're very good at something. But of course, that doesn't mean that they know how to lead and manage. What about in terms of spotting potential leaders? What have you seen there that works really well?
I mean, spotting potential leaders, I just had breakfast with Angela Duckworth, who wrote the book Grit.
Great.
And she's an organizational psychologist that studies high achievement. And when she talked about how to spot leaders, I agree with 100%. You look for people that have passion and persistence, people that have the emotional intelligence to deal with leading and managing.
Makes sense. Switching gears just a little bit, you've worked with, I think, hundreds of CEOs, certainly as in your capacity as a Vistage Master Chair. What makes these groups so powerful, and why should a business owner consider joining one?
I talked to a man the other day who said that his mother was French. And I can't say it in French, but it translates to love is blind, but your neighbors aren't. So we just don't know what our blind spots are. That's why they're called blind spots. They say that in Alcoholics Anonymous, that it takes a drunk to know another drunk. In any of these peer groups, in a CEO peer group, another CEO is going to call you on your BS. They're going to help you see your blind spots. So if you're really committed to growth and you're hungry to become a better leader, this is a place one of the only places that I know that you have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I actually have said many years ago when I was working with large companies, helping them to sell to small businesses, that if you were sitting in a room with business owners, they're speaking English, but there's really almost like a hidden language. There's things you're not going to pick up on unless you are a business owner. We know how to kind of speak and hear one another, I think, in a very unique way. And I couldn't agree. I mean, I fully agree, Mark. I'm such a big fan of these groups and have been a member as well. Switching gears one more time, I saw you, I guess, a few months ago at a workshop that you did on positive intelligence. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's about and why that's important for business owners?
Positive intelligence is your ability to respond to negative events, which as business owners you're dealing with on a daily basis, with a positive rather than a negative mindset. So that's the simple definition of it. It's based on a book and a system that was developed by Shirzad Chamine, and it's research based, it's scientific based, it's based on a number of fields like positive psychology and sports psychology. But what I found is that this has been something that's impacted my members, my CEOs, more than just about anything else. I know that you know Andrew Singer, who's the managing partner of Tannenbaum and Halpern. He said it was the single most impactful experience that he's had in both his personal and professional life. I'm working with a group of key executives, the direct reports to CEOs. And the one thread that I see is that they're all so stressed out. I mean, they're younger. Most of them have younger children, less than 18 years of age, and they have older parents that maybe they're having to support. And they have executive jobs with the stress of the jobs. So they got it coming from them in all different directions. And this is a tool that really helps them ground themselves and deal with the stress and anxiety that executives and leaders face on a day-to-day basis.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, Mark? Business owners in particular, I mean, I think everybody's stressed out from time to time, but business owners have a lot of stress. And I think everybody in the company, whether they realize it or not, everybody in the company is always looking at the business owner. And if the business owner is not doing great, it becomes apparent and it can have an effect on the organization. How does positive intelligence help people, and let's say just focus on business owners right now, kind of shift their mindset? And you mentioned grit earlier. How does it help them build more resilience?
It's a set of tools. I know that you're familiar with EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating
Sure.
System.
Yeah.
So I think what EOS did that's brilliant is they took a lot of great ideas from thought leaders like Jim Collins and Patrick Lencioni, and they put it into a system that's very practical and easy to implement. Well, I think that Shirzad did the same thing with positive intelligence. When I first read the book, there really wasn't anything brand new that I saw. But he took all of these concepts and he put it into a system that's very easy to implement. So you learn first what your saboteurs are. And we all have the judge, the inner critic, the master saboteur that's constantly, we're beating ourselves up or we're judging others or we're judging circumstances and become a victim of those circumstances. So how do you deal with that inner voice? And it teaches you several different ways that you can do that. And then we have our specific saboteurs. You can go to positiveintelligence.com and take the saboteur assessment for free, and you learn what your top saboteurs are. In working with hundreds of CEOs, the top saboteur that I see is one that we call the hyperachiever. Now, the hyperachiever, and it happens to be one of mine as well, is a saboteur that constantly is pushing you, pushing you, pushing you, pushing you. And it becomes a saboteur when you're experiencing stress, anxiety, frustration, annoyance, and you get annoyed at people around you or your team that aren't moving fast enough or aren't moving in the direction that you think that they should be. And the impact that you have, just like you said, of the leader, is that if you're stressed, they can see that. You think that you're holding it all inside and it might be coming out overtly in some cases, but covertly in many, that they can see that you're frustrated. And is it inspirational working with this leader that's pushing and pushing and pushing? Now, the irony of it is that our saboteur is also our greatest strength. So to be an achiever is good. I'm not saying you don't want to achieve or have that passion for achievement, but there's another way of gaining achievement, and we distinguish it as called the sage power. And all of us have this like higher self or this sage power inside of us, where we can inspire people rather than push people, lead people into their highest possible potential. And that's what I love about it, and that's how I think it's really helped the CEOs that I work with.
This episode is brought to you by Work Better Now, your trusted partner for getting high-performing talent from Latin America. Our clients tell us that partnering with Work Better Now has transformed their businesses by providing the proactive, reliable, and skilled professionals that they need to thrive. Ready to build your dream team? Visit workbetternow.com to schedule your consultation today. As a special thank you to listeners of the Great Talent, Great Business podcast, we're offering $150 off your first 3 months. Just mention Great Talent during your consult. Join the businesses building their dream teams and take the next step in transforming yours today. So I have 2 follow-up questions on there. Let's start with this one. What have you seen results-wise from people who have gone through the program, business owners that have gone through the program with you, like the before and after, if you will?
I think that they're calmer. They're able to see what triggers them, their emotional triggers, and they now have a way of dealing with those emotional triggers that bring their nervous system into a better state. The research shows that when we're triggered, when we're upset, when we're angry, when we're frustrated, that our intelligence goes down like 20%. And imagine leading from that place versus a higher place. So they're able to respond to those negative events much faster. The people around them notice the difference. The impact on organizations are that not only does it boost your immune system, but it supports the immune system because we're kind of contagious. Our moods are contagious. So if we're in a upset, bad mood, that's contagious. But if we're coming from a higher place, and that place of curiosity, and that place of empathy, and that place of navigating to our higher powers, then that's contagious too. And it's the type of organization that people want to work for. So their people actually have less sick days, less days off work, higher results in sales teams. There was a 37% improvement in sales when the sales team did the positive intelligence course. So very significant results.
That was my next question. What percentage, roughly, of your positive intelligence clients that go through the program roll this out to some or all of the members of their team?
Not as high of a percentage as I would like, but I'd say maybe 10% have so far.
Right.
It's still relatively new in the world. In fact, they just redid the whole positive intelligence app. So you get an app that you can follow every single day, because if mental fitness is like physical fitness, if you don't do it every single day, you're not going to be in shape to handle the challenges that you have. When I first started this course, it was during the pandemic, and I was doing it for 6 months, and we were learning these different mindfulness techniques to deal with those triggers. And I remember I was having an argument with my wife, and one of the techniques is you rub your fingers together. So you want to get out of your head and into your body so that those thoughts don't escalate. And I'm rubbing my fingers and I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. And then it starts escalate. And finally, I wasn't in that sage space anymore. And I asked Shirzad the next week, I said, hey, I've been doing this for 6 months. It didn't work. You know what happened? And he said, Mark, can you curl 100 pounds? I said, no. And he said, what's the maximum you can curl? I said, maybe 25 pounds. And he said, you could get to 100 if you develop your physical fitness. Your mental fitness just isn't there yet. You have to keep on practicing. We see results after even 7 weeks of doing it, but you're not a bodybuilder there. You're not a mental fitness expert yet. So you got to keep on developing that muscle.
Sounds like something Yoda would say. Mark, if we pull all this together, the peer group concept, positive intelligence, you and I were talking earlier how we partnered together, I don't know how many years ago, to bring a great session on tribal leadership. And if you boil down, you've had hundreds of members in your Vistage group, groups over the years, and you look at some of the more successful ones. When it comes to leadership and leading their talent, what have you seen are the strongest characteristics that have led to the most successful businesses?
I think the strongest characteristic is emotional intelligence. I mean, positive intelligence is different from emotional intelligence, but it impacts the same 16 characteristics. The ability to know yourself, the self-awareness, and then the ability to see what's going on in others and how it's impacting them, and to be able to regulate that. I think it's coaching and mentoring your people, developing a leadership team where coaching is part of the culture, where learning is part of the culture, and it's certainly hiring great talent. I think that there are certain stages of a business development, and sometimes what got you here isn't what's going to get you where you want to go. So the most successful leaders I've seen have top graded their people, or they've developed their people to be able to handle bigger challenges that you face when you grow your company.
I just want to point something out for everybody. You've had a front row seat to hundreds and hundreds of business. And when I say front row, as you know, I know a lot of business owners because of the magazine I used to have and stuff. But you've been in the inner circle of so many of these companies, and you didn't say it was all about product development. You didn't say it was about pricing. You didn't say it was about sales. It all comes down to people and really understanding yourself and the people that are working for you. Really
Yes.
powerful.
Yes, it's the leader. Some people complain about their organizations and their people, and I say, you have the organization, the people that you created, that you deserve.
Right. And I think we always have to remind ourselves as business owners, one of the reasons many of us went into business ourselves is to do things our way. And yet people don't realize that all of this stuff is somewhat within our control, and yet is one of the biggest drivers of results. Mark, thank you so much for sharing these awesome insights, and it's great to see you. Where can people learn more about you and or Vistage as well as positive intelligence?
I go to LinkedIn every single day. So if you type in Mark Taylor Vistage or Mark Taylor Positive Intelligence, I'm sure I'd show up there. I have a website, marktaylor.nyc, and my email is mark@marktaylor.nyc.
Perfect. Mark, thanks again, and it was great to see you.
Great seeing you too, Rob. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. The Great Talent, Great Business podcast is brought to you by Work Better Now. Don't forget to review, subscribe, and download the worksheet for this episode at the link below. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on LinkedIn at Great Talent, Great Business, or visit greattalentpodcast.com.